Hello,
Okay.
I'm excited to be with Nick and Diane Marson, and I am so thrilled to listen to a little bit of your story and your journey from being in Gander. And so I thought we could jump right in. And September 11th, 2001, it's almost 25 years ago.
Mhm.
And so that morning, where were you traveling from? And what kind of was going through your mind that morning before everything happened?
Well, I was returning home from a trip to visit my son and his family. He was stationed in England with the United States Air Force, and he was probably 100 miles away from London. So I caught a train and changed trains in London to go to Gatwick. And I was a little bit sad because I was going home, but I'd had a wonderful time.
And what about you, Nick?
So uh, I was an electronic engineer in the oil industry. I'd recently joined a startup company, and I was supposed to travel on the 10th, but the tool that we were developing had a problem, and so we delayed. Well, we cancelled the flight, and then we got it working halfway through the 10th. So then rebooked the flight on 9/11, going from Gatwick, same plane as Diane.
Right. But we didn't meet on the plane.
We meet on the plane.
That's wow, all of these circumstances, hey, how they just happened to come about. So okay, so you're on the plane, you're coming towards Texas, right? Or like Texas. Now, things change. What happens and what do you know about?
So the captain came over the intercom. It's about 4 hours of the flight, I guess.
It's just after
said,
lunch.
There's problems with the American airspace, and they diverted into Newfoundland, Canada. And probably like everybody else, I got the map out to see just where Newfoundland was, even though I had done geography at school.
Yeah.
And so I figured there's something wrong with the airplane. Maybe there was an issue with the engine or something. No idea what the enormity of the situation.
Right. We were not told what had happened in New York until after we landed. And you knew when you passed over the airport at Gander and you could see all of these, because we were one of the last planes to come in, you could see all these planes parked.
Lined up like sardines.
Yeah. So you knew it was a very serious situation. It wasn't just us on our plane.
And then the captain, when we landed, and so during the flight, I noticed that our flight attendant was very, very nervous. I thought that poor lady's not really cut out to be a flight attendant. And then I realized that she was going around the plane looking for terrorists.
Well, or possible.
Because obviously she knew
Right.
the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
And one of our friends was on another flight. We didn't meet him until about 2019. But the Lufthansa pilot announced that the terrorist activity, and him and a couple of other guys went and stood outside the cockpit door to take on anybody that wanted to get into the cockpit.
Were you sitting closer to the front of the airplane or?
Diane was at the front. I was one of the people towards the back of the plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have my boarding pass. I was in 21C.
You still have it, okay?
I actually have mine, but I ruined it. When I got back to England, I thought, well, there's some history here. I think I'll laminate it. And it was on thermal paper. And so my boarding pass is
now all dark.
95% black.
Yeah.
You could just make it out.
Yeah.
That is too bad. Oh, okay. So when you finally got off the plane, did you have to wait a long time on the ground? You did. Okay.
We were about 30 hours on the plane.
Right.
Wow, 30 hours. Okay, so you were one of the last, yeah, to deplane.
Right.
And as you come through then that terminal and you come into the airport, what were you met with? What did you feel?
Sandwiches.
Well, since we were on the plane so long, they made sandwiches and delivered them to the planes. They brought out if a baby needed formula, they brought out water. I mean, they fed us until we got off the plane.
They even brought out nicotine patches for anybody that might.
Yes, that had, because the doors were locked.
Yeah, you couldn't get off.
No, and we have a picture that Nick took through the window of a police jeep patrolling around through the planes because no one was to get off. The planes were locked.
Because at that point, they didn't know if there were any more terrorists.
Yeah.
Who was on one plane or...
Right. And the phones on the back of the seats didn't work. Yeah. Hardly anybody had a cell phone.
There was no Google back then.
No. And I was worried about my son who lives here in Houston because he used to travel for work. I'd been away for 2 weeks. I didn't know where he was. He could have been on a plane somewhere. And we weren't told really all the details because I think they didn't want us to panic.
Exactly.
And,
when we got off the plane, all we could take off was our carry-on. Okay. And I had a laptop computer, that was it. It made a really good pillow for the rest of the week.
And I had a bag of makeup, a handbag with makeup in it. And that was it. No clothes, no anything else.
And that makeup came pretty handy as the week went on for Diane.
Yeah, there you go, making yourself look good. That's okay. Wow, I can't even imagine the emotions that were going through your mind, right? The questions and everything, and the fact that we can't fathom, like nowadays we'd zip up our phone, we'd look something out, we'd take a video of things, everything. So the fact that you had a camera, Nick, that was good.
Right.
It was an early electronic one.
Okay.
And this might come up later on in the conversation, but it was a very early electronic one, and it had no zoom at all. So it was very, very basic. Early days of electronic cameras.
Well, I was worried even about Houston because we have so many oil headquarters and such here that who knew at that point exactly what the target was? Other than, and I didn't know what the World Trade Center was, the buildings or anything. At that point, I'd never been to New York. Yeah. I just knew that when they said that the buildings collapsed, I just knew that had to be a lot of casualties.
Yeah, and it was.
Right.
And this point, this could have been the Pearl Harbor of World War III.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't know the ground. We were just happy to be on the ground,
right?
Safe on the ground, and as it turned out, in a wonderful part of the world, being looked after by angels.
Right.
I was at home getting ready that morning to go teach in my grade 2 class, and my husband phoned me, and he goes, "A plane just went into the World Trade Center." And my mind, because I couldn't fathom that, I was thinking a small little plane. And couldn't even fathom it. And so I headed to my school. I got in there, and the staff room, they've got all the television screens on. And we've got parents phoning saying, "What are you going to say to our children? We want to know what you're going to say to them." And so it was such a different, as I drove home that day, I'm going, our world is so different now, right? And we were removed from it. So we weren't even involved like you folks and everybody else, but we knew the severity after watching everything. And so it was the unknown, the fear of the unknown. So here, Gander residents, they also, I'm sure, had the fear of the unknown because they were welcoming all these planes, all these strangers. So when you started to meet people, like who did you go with? Where were you billeted or staying?
So when we got off the plane, you, as I said, you could only take your carry-on. If you needed medication, which it turned out we both did, you had to get in another line where they took your what medications you need, and they said that we'll deliver them to you this evening. And I'm thinking, I can't see that happening.
No, not with. But, I mean, the tables were just loaded with food and drinks and. They even rounded up some clothing and diapers for little babies. And
yeah, you knew that there was not a kitchen in Gander that wasn't making food.
Yeah, and the surrounding areas.
Yes.
Right.
Well, yeah. since we were one of the last planes to land, we were the last ones off. And by the time we were ready to go, be taken somewhere, I was taken with a fellow passenger by a volunteer about 30 miles away because Gander was full. All the shelters in Gander were full.
Okay.
And when I got there, it was probably almost dark or so.
Well, you'd already been to the Red Cross.
Yes, they took me to the Red Cross building in town, and I had a hot meal, and that was wonderful. And then they took a fellow passenger and I 30 miles away, a volunteer did, because the adjoining towns were going to help out.
Okay.
So we were actually, and I was already there when she turned up. And it was the Society of United Fishermen in Gander. I think it was probably the largest building in town.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't that big.
Mm.
It was maybe bigger, as big as a regular house here, but it was just one big room and a kitchen.
It took in about, I don't know, 80 people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. That's to be housed with that many people. And so did they have cots and everything laid out for you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the army brought in stretchers.
Yeah, that were about this far off the floor by the time they were put down. And they were just like that.
And that's where we met, in line for a blanket.
Right.
Really? Oh, okay, I love it.
Yeah. We just ended up in the same line and or same place in the line, and Diane said it smells like mothballs. Mike said it smells like camphor to me.
So that started a conversation about why he'd call it camphor and why would I call it mothballs.
That's a really good pickup line.
I love it. That is great. That was your meet cute.
And then we discovered that we were both on the same plane because where we were was like a tail end place. It was all the stragglers.
Right. It was people from all different planes there.
And so we were both on Continental 05. And so if you hang about together, you might get back on the right airplane. You double your chances of,
Yeah, when you went through the triage at the airport, you had to show your passport, your boarding pass, your home address, where you were supposed to be going, and next of kin, and a lot of questions. And then they listed where you were going. So they had to, when you think about instantly the next day tracking 7,000, almost 7,000 people, I don't know how they did it.
Mind-boggling, yeah. And so I asked Diane if I could take the cot next to hers, and she said, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know anybody else there, so we thought if we sort of hung out together, when they started coming around and saying, okay, we want the passengers from flight blah, 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 we'd say, here we are, and we had a chance to get back here.
And so Diane was waking up probably about 30 minutes before me in the morning, and I found out later that she'd gone to the bathroom and put on the makeup, the war paint. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd look over and I'd think, golly, I know British women don't look as good when they wake up in the morning. Little did I know.
That bag of makeup came in handy.
Yeah.
And they didn't have shower facilities, so you had to walk up this gravel road to the high school gym, and they had ladies' showers and men's showers.
So before Diane turned up, so you imagine you've been on the plane for 30 hours, and it's probably 36 hours by the time I got to the shelter, and first thing you want is a shower.
Yeah.
And another guy and myself, we went up to the young lady. She's probably about 14 or 15, who were checking people in, saying, is there somewhere where we can get a shower? Because all they had there was just a basic commode and a wash hand basin. And so in a very, very broad Newfoundland accent, he's telling us how to go up this long gravel road and yonder. And I looked at the guy next to me, who I think was from the north of England. Anyway, I said, did you get any of that? Yeah. No. And she said, it's okay. She said, I'll take you.
Nice.
And I said, and I said to her, I said, is there anywhere where I can put my laptop where it'll be safe? And which is a reasonable request. And she just looked at me and she said, we're not like that here, sir. And I just thought, oh my, I am so sorry. And that's the first instance I got of what the people there were really like, you
That's
know?
so interesting. Well, that's it, right? You just automatically assume that you need to protect things, your valuables and everything like that. And I love that. I love that. And so once you guys so you're settled kind of, I'm sure you had, did you sleep well that first night, or were you restless with it? Like,
Well, I think so. I'm pretty sure I did because
Well,
I
we
didn't
were
sleep much on the plane.
right. We were probably tired because we'd spent the night on the plane and it wasn't all that crowded. So almost everybody could move around to where they had a couple of seats together and pull the armrest up, and you could sort of lay down on the side because
Diane was at the front of the plane, so she probably had better seating than me. I was at the back of the plane drinking the beer with all the all the guys down there.
Making it work.
They just opened up the minibar thing and just gave everybody.
Well, they were trying to keep people
keep them lubricated.
Yeah, keep everybody calm.
I'm sure. So the food that you ate there, the food that you were given, what was some of your favorite things that you ate while you were there? Or was
oh yeah, so towtons, that's fried bread.
Yeah, fried bread cubes that were really nice,
cool.
And they made
a lot of fish.
Fish. They made a wonderful seafood chowder.
Yeah,
that was sort of like a soup.
okay?
And that was easy to cook big pots of it and serve. And after we'd been there a couple of days, we felt sort of bad about freeloading, so we washed the dishes.
Aww.
They didn't have paper plates and all that stuff. So all the plain people, as they called us, got in the kitchen and we washed dishes. You hand it off, somebody else would dry it, somebody else would take it over to the table. And the place was so small that everybody went to bed that night on their little stretcher. But in the morning, we had to fold everything up and put it in the corner. And they brought out tables and chairs because now it was a dining room.
And there was one guy that slept way too well. And we just picked him up in his
stretcher,
and
he didn't even wake up yet.
No, he was absolutely.
That's funny.
My thing was snoring, and this lady doctor came along and stuck
one of those patches on his face, on his nose.
Yes.
Because he was all of us awake.
Oh my goodness, the things you experienced. Now, did you start to make connections with other plain people there or did you guys just kind of stick together?
I think mainly we stuck together quite a bit. We did chat with other people a little bit.
Well, the next morning, and they had TVs going with the looping news, and that's when we had the first chance to see what had really happened. And that was just rather overwhelming to see that and to know what was going on. And the weather was beautiful. And we went for a walk with another couple, a doctor and her husband, but she had sandals on, and the gravel road did not suit her sandals. So they went back, and we carried on down the road, just exploring and looking, and we ran into other people. We went to a convenience store, and you like to tell this part.
Yeah, and so it was lunchtime. So we decided to get some trail mix and a Diet Pepsi, as it turned out. And so the British guy, he's always the one that pays, you know. And lo and behold, this American lady just scoops it all up and pays for it. And I'm thinking, golly, that worked. Not only does she look good, but she's...
Well, I had sort of an ulterior motive because I thought he's such a gentleman. he's not going to grab his food and drink and run off. We could sit outside at the picnic table, and it was lovely weather, and have lunch together
and talk some more, because
yeah,
we came from two totally different lifestyles,
and work.
so there's a lot of stuff, you know, that you can exchange.
Yeah, just like, where do you live, or how big
Yeah.
is this, or what's
Yeah.
your car, or just
Yeah.
generalities.
How much makeup did you got on you?
No,
That makeup, hey, but it's
we
something.
never heard the end of it.
But sharing your stories, sharing your commonalities, right? Like that can you didn't have devices to scroll through back then or anything. You just had that face to face. And I think that is
Yeah,
really special.
right. Yeah,
And so later on that day, we went to they opened up the computer room at the school so we could email back home, and we went back down to the Society of the United Fishermen a little bit late, really, and they'd already started entertaining the people and screeching them in. That screeching is where you become an honorary Newfoundlander.
right.
You probably know that.
I love that, yes.
Yeah. And so Diane went up to the Master of Ceremonies and said, "We want to do that."
Yeah, it sounds very frivolous now in light of what had happened, but they had set up phones, and you could make a phone call to someone. I called my daughter-in-law and found out my son was fine. Everyone in the family was fine. Nothing had happened in Houston. And then I had peace of mind.
Mm.
So you just...
So she wanted to be an honorary Newfoundlander and get screeched in. So this is the conversation went something like this. The master of ceremonies sort of looked at Diane and said, "Where are you from?" And she said, "Texas." And he looked at me and he said, "What part of Texas, buddy?" And I said, "I'm not from Texas. I'm from England." He said, "Well, how does it work?" "How does what work?" "How did your marriage work?" "Well, we're not married." And he said, "Oh, I thought you were." And you actually, you might imagine that somebody that is married doesn't talk as much as we were. But anyway, he thought we were married. And so he said, "Well, I'm in Justice of the Peace. Would you like to be married?" And I'd already bought Diane 2 beers to make up for the lunch that she bought. And so she sort of like went, well why not?
Well, and that again sounds very frivolous, but everybody was trying to lighten the mood. I mean, they had a guy with a fiddle playing music, Newfoundland music, and
ugly stick,
and the ugly stick, and so much was going on. They were trying to.
So when she said that, I was the guy running out of the door.
No, you weren't.
Oh, I love your attitude with it. That's awesome.
The next day, they were going to entertain us some more, and one of the helpers was a geology teacher, and he was going to take a group of people, 4 people to be precise, to this lookout. And I made sure that I was with Diane. I wanted to be on the same trip as her, and I think she was doing the same thing. So we both ended up on this trip with another couple to go and see Dover Fault.
Right.
And that's where you know about it, that's where the earth cracked together.
Yeah.
Separated.
It was a beautiful lookout. High above, you could see the town of Dover. Below, you can see the water and the mist and the land that's way over there.
And so at this point, we're halfway through the 5 days, probably a bit more than that. And I just can't believe what's happening. You know, I've met this really, really nice woman, and the rest of the world's in turmoil, but we're having a really wonderful time, which is
it sounds bad to say that,
but and so I wanted a memory of all this. I'd already got her business card, and so I wanted a picture of her. And this camera that I mentioned earlier did not have a zoom, and so she's on the lookout at Dover Falls, and I'm walking up to her, getting as close as I can, and because that's the way you can zoom in on a camera that you zoom. I wanted a picture of her. It's something to remember, because in 1 or 2 years' time, I wanted to make sure I remembered her name and what she looked like. And so this was a special special moment. And she thought I wanted a picture of the
scenery.
The scenery.
So I offered to get out of the way, and he said, "No, stay there." And that's
Perfect.
when I knew. Yeah, that's when I knew he was interested in me and not just the scenery.
Yeah,
you were the scenery, Diane. You were the scenery.
it's a nice background.
Right. That's where "Stop the World," the song in "Come From Away," came from.
Okay.
Was "Stop the world, take a picture."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
You've
that.
seen Come From Away. You've seen Come From Away, I hope.
Well, okay, so I have only seen it on the television. I have never got to see it on the stage yet. And so my goal is this summer I'm going to go with some friends to celebrate the book by seeing it on the stage. So, but I heard
We
folks have seen it a lot. How many times?
About 160 something.
Right.
Fabulous.
It's almost everywhere now.
And when we tell people that, they kind of look at the world there. Now we know they're really cooking. But Diane says that every time we see it, it's like we're renewing our vows. It takes us back to those wonderful 5 days.
Right.
Changed our lives.
Yeah.
It really changed lives.
It came time to say goodbye. Okay, you go, like, did you end up on the same flight back, or?
Oh, yeah. More than that. And so we were taken by school bus back to the airport. And Diane was, I didn't realize at the time she was a crybaby and she was tearful.
Well, we were leaving those people. I'd gotten very attached to the children because school was out. They just let school out. The kids were there in the shelter with us, talking to us and very curious. And what, do you have grandchildren? What do they do? What sports do they like to play? And I knew I'd never see all those people again.
So the most forward, or without being forward, the British guy could be, was I just put my arm around her and went to kiss her on her forehead to comfort her. And something happened.
I just grabbed him and gave him a big kiss right there on the school bus.
Love it.
Because I thought, if we do it now, we'll get home to the airport in Houston. He'll go there, I'll go there, and we'll never hear from one another again.
So she played her trump card.
Yeah. My ace card.
Your ace card.
Your ace card. I love it.
So, yes, we did sit together on the flight back. In fact, we were canoodling most of the way back. And this really happened. The flight attendant after the meal came round and she was going, hot towel, cold towel. When she got to
But I'm sure such a tragic moment in history makes you also think about your life, right? Think about, like, I think that, because I know you keep saying, oh, I feel bad to have felt this way at the hard time, but I think it makes you reflect, right, on what do you want, where, if my life was to end right now, is it where I want to be? And so I think that maybe gave you the bravery, did it, to?
I know it made me, because like I said, I just had an important birthday, and most of your life is behind you, and what do you look forward to? I had a nice job, a nice apartment, 3 kids and 5 grandchildren, but that's, you don't see them all the time. So
Okay, so you guys went your separate ways then, and how long till you connected again in person?
So it was October. I needed to make sure that this lady that I met in those 5 days really existed, and it wasn't something that I'd embellished in my mind, basically. So I managed to convince the owner of this new startup company that I should come back to Houston and check on the work that I'd done. Normally, my project. Normally, you'd send like a technician to come and take some measurements, but I told him it was pretty important we got it right, so I'd be better off coming myself. And so, literally, to take those measurements took about 30 minutes. So I kept having them take it again and again. I managed to stay here for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and flew back Wednesday.
And every night, of course, we were both working, so every night we'd go out, and I'd take him out to a different restaurant, and you experienced Mexican food and Texas barbecue, and we were on emails to one another and call on the weekend.
Yeah. And early November, it was like first week maybe, I proposed over the phone. I was back in England.
Yeah, 5,000 miles away. And I came and bought this house on Thanksgiving.
Oh, so here's the control freak. I offered England, and so she said, well, I just bought a house here. You better move here. So I did.
I love that, and I love that you took charge, Diane. That was good. That is very special.
It wasn't easy to get Nick here because it took us till the next September to get him. When he came, he had nothing in the way of credit. He had no. It didn't transfer anything like that.
Until I got a social security number, I couldn't get a.
Right. It
took. I couldn't buy a car because I couldn't get insurance. So that was a very traumatic year.
Yeah.
Moving here really, really was.
I bet.
I even had to have my degree ratified. If that's the right word. That it was equivalent to a degree here. Actually, it was far better than the degree.
But he had to prove he wasn't taking an American's job, that he had knowledge of this subject.
So going back to like Christmas time, I told the president of this new company, I said, look, I'm awfully sorry, but I'm going to move to Houston because something happened during 9/11. And the parent company of the startup company actually was based in Houston. So I think they didn't want to lose me. And so they made it possible for me to transfer here and continue working. So from a job point of view, it didn't nothing really happened.
It was just the citizenship thing.
It was just
We had to go back to England the end of May of 2002 and wait for the paperwork to be taken to the U.S. Embassy.
And back then, because of 9/11, you couldn't walk into the embassy yourself. You had to employ somebody to.
We had to employ an authorized person to take the paperwork there. So we were gone for 6 weeks working on that. I stayed with my son and his family because he didn't retire until 2005. So I stayed with them, and Nick went back to where he lived and worked.
Carried on working at the old factory.
Yeah.
And then at the weekends,
right.
You guys jumped through hoops for love. That was, you had to work hard for it, right? And especially with everything changing, it was much harder with everything like that. Okay, so you get married and you honeymoon back in Gander, correct? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. We got married on September the 7th the following in 2002. We went back to spend it with the people we looked after.
Right.
How special. Okay, and then so what surprised you the most about the people of Gander once you'd left and everything, when you were reflecting on it? What kind of just surprised you that you weren't expecting?
Kindness and generosity.
And,
I mean, the world needs more people like Newfoundlanders right now.
It didn't matter where you came from, what language you spoke, what your job title was, what you had in your wallet. They just knew you needed a place to stay, you needed food, and you needed a hug, and they gave us all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was unconditional, right? That's And I think our young people now, I really hope with this book that they can understand the value of community too. Because I think we've lost a little bit.
The way they rallied together to look after 7,000 strangers.
Right, and feed us, and some of the people, the residents there, took the older passengers home to their homes.
Yeah.
But to stay there instead of being on a cot or on the floor or
whatever.
Yeah. And one man said, one resident there said, yeah, I even handed the keys to one of the guys. He wanted to go shopping at Walmart, And the plane man said, "Well, aren't you worried I might steal your car?" He said, "Buddy, this is an island. Where are you going to go?" And it's just the way they were.
It's a whole way of being, right? I love
It
that.
is.
So, okay, so this is my think deep question. If you could go back on that unexpected day in Gander, knowing everything that would happen over the 25 years, what advice would you give to your younger self back then?
Don't be afraid to be open to new experiences, people you've never met. I mean,
just throw your life up in the air and go across the land.
Yeah, just throw your life up in the air and put it in a suitcase and come here, which is what he did.
No, so any regrets? None whatsoever.
Okay. I love the fact that you took the chance, you took the leap when it was scary to leap, right? And I think that's so sweet. Now, my last one for you is, what do you hope children who will be hearing the story of Gander for the first time, what do you hope that they will take away and remember from this story?
I hope they remember the kindness and friendship that the Newfoundlanders bestowed upon us. And if only, as I said earlier, if only the rest of the world were more like Newfoundlanders, we wouldn't be in this stupid mess that we're in.
Right.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And that's what, the kindness, the compassion, the community, all of those aspects, I think, is desperately needed. People are aching for that right now, and I hope that we can keep the light and the beacon going from Gander, and pass that torch onto everyone else, so that it can spread, because I do believe we can take that power and we can make a difference with it. Now, I have something fun I'm going to do with you guys, and it's a little bit of a speed lightning round. So I'm going to say a question, and you're going to either point to yourself or point to your partner as to who holds this question true. So like, one might be, who is a night owl? And so you'd have to, okay, there you go. So 10 questions. Are you ready? Who is the early morning riser? Anna, I love it. Who is the most romantic?
We both are pretty much.
All right, well, you point to me then.
Love that. That's okay. Who is the adventurous one?
Me.
Okay, you're okay. Who's the better cook?
Well, he's learning. He can do stir fry now. When he came, he knew nothing about
I couldn't even boil water when I came here. But,
no, we bought an automatic electric teapot.
Yeah, so we actually share the cooking.
I love that. Okay, teamwork.
Diana's the definite.
Oh, I've been cooking since I was 12.
Okay. So, but you share the love with him. I love that. Okay, next one. Who is the one who packs the most for a trip?
Who packs the most? Oh, me. It's got to be me.
Yeah, you.
I pack and I think, well, I better put some more stuff in. I'll put a shirt in as well, another one. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Who is the one more likely to be late?
Neither one of us.
Oh, no. We're both very early.
We were on here 15 minutes before.
Yeah, we were sitting here ready to go.
So I like to be early, but Diane likes to be early. So it is one of us. It's going to be me, but it's not as though I'm late, because I'm not quite as early as the early bird there.
Right.
Okay. I love that. That's good. You're always prepared. Okay, the next one. Who is more likely to cry during a movie? Okay, that's you mentioned that Diane loved to share her emotion. Okay. Who is the most competitive?
Competitive? Yeah. I don't think about that one. Both of us, sort of.
Yeah, she's competitive, so am I. I'm competitive in my hobbies.
Okay. Okay, well, there you go. It's a draw with that. Who is more likely to get lost?
Oh, me.
You okay?
Without Google Maps, I'm a mess.
Well, I've lived in Houston my entire life, so there are a few suburbs that I may not know, but for the most part,
Oh, look, I tell you, when I got that GPS on, she starts arguing with the GPS.
yeah,
It's embarrassing.
I know the
And,
shortcuts, you know. You don't
and
have to go way around here. You just go right through
yeah, and
there.
she did that one day, and there was a reason why Google had sent us the other way because the road was blocked, and
I
we
know.
had to turn around. We lost about half an
Okay, so and the last one is who is more likely to start a conversation with a stranger?
hour.
Oh,
Oh,
me.
both of us, really.
Both of us,
Yeah,
but I spent 40 years in retail. So customers, I had to go up and start a conversation, and I can talk to anybody about
yeah,
anything, anywhere.
yeah. We're both pretty sociable.
Thank you so much for playing that fun little game. I thought I just wanted to do something really fun with you. Anyway, I will let you guys go. I've taken so much of your time. My apologies. But this was delightful.
Well, our pleasure. I mean, we love to share the story of those people. They're the big heroes of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They are. No, they are.
Because I don't know another country where there are residents who would take people in like that.
No, no, no.
No, it's
Yeah.
totally true. Well, and have a lovely night, and we will stay in touch. I'm so glad we're on Facebook together. So, okay,
Yeah.
take care. Goodbye. Goodbye.